Let me put on my sexy voice. With great bars comes great responsibility. As Dre told Kendrick, anybody can get it. The hard part is keeping it. What drives so many incredibly talented rappers to completely blow it after they hit it big? For some, it's that they can't escape the beef. For others, it's the fact that the pressures of the industry get to be too much. From Pooh Shiesty to Chance the Rapper, we're gonna explore all across the hip-hop spectrum to talk about some people who screwed up big time. Today, we're gonna go ahead and get into a few people who just couldn't keep a grip on the game. Right here on RIZZLE. Number 7, Pooh Shiesty. Pooh Shiesty was about to absolutely blow a while ago. His debut mixtape, Sheisty Season, even peaked at number 3 on the charts. Unfortunately, this didn't last for long. As soon as he showed up on the scene, he disappeared. Shiesty got himself caught up in some charges he couldn't get off on. You see, there was a shooting outside of a nightclub, and the shooting mysteriously involved one of Shiesty's ops. After a little bit more investigation, it became clear to the judges that Sheisty had snitched on himself by posting pictures to Instagram with a car that had been spotted at the crime scene and the exact same amount of money that had reportedly been stolen after the altercation. It's not very likely that we'll be hearing too much more from the dude because the punishment for the crime is life in jail. No matter how good his lawyers are, Sheisty gave the court pretty much all the evidence they're gonna need to put him away. The most absurd thing about the situation is that bro could have just been quiet rather than trying to flex, and there's a good chance that he would have gotten off for his crimes. Oh well. Number 6, YNWM. YNWM was on a major come up after a string of singles that propelled him to stardom. His tale is one of foul play, betrayal, and deceit. But what else can we come to expect when bro's last name is Demons? Melly's scheme wasn't too complicated, but it was enough to throw people off the trail for a while. He set up a hit to look like it was a drive-by committed by the ops, but when forensic investigators took a closer look, they realized that the shots which had ended the life of YNW Sack Chaser and YNW Juvie had come from inside the vehicle. Why would ops be in the car with them? After that, YNW Bortland, an associate, drove the dying ex-homies to the hospital to make it look like it was really an accident. Not only that, but Melly's also suspected of fading a sheriff's deputy back in the day, meaning that he's under open investigation for both of them. It's not like this was Melly's first offense, but it's definitely the worst one. At this point, there's almost no way we're going to be hearing anything else from Melly. It seems like Murder on My Mind was more than just a catchy song looking back. Maybe it was more like a confession. Number 5, Takea. Takea is a pretty weird case, because although he was garnering a lot of press in the underground, he wouldn't really become famous until after what he pulled to destroy his career later on. Takea had started to release some tracks on SoundCloud as early as 2014, but other things got in the way of his love of music. Back in 2015, his friend, professionally known as Santana Sage, shot into a car after leaving a New Year's Eve party and was sentenced 44 years in jail. The next year, Takea got put on house arrest following a botched robbery. He cut off his ankle bracelet while awaiting trial and ditched. During this time, he dropped The Race, which is where he really hit it big. People finally started paying attention, including Tyga and Lil Yachty, who released remixes of the track. While on the run, he also was implicated in another shooting and a robbery before finally getting caught. After all that went down, he ended up with at least 27 and a half years in prison before parole, and most likely more like 55 years in lockup. The Race might have gone platinum and all, but it's not at all possible that he's gonna put out anything else, at least in the next few decades. Number 4, Fetty Wap. Fetty Wap was probably one of the most popular rappers around for a time. After a single like Trap Queen, he really hit it big. Unfortunately for Fetty, the success was pretty short-lived. The last time he got featured on the radio was after Drake remixed My Way. And once that was out of rotation, he dropped below most of the general public's radar. After some pretty major legal problems, mismanaging his money, and some charges for drunk driving and drag racing, Fetty might be gone for good. He also made some weird career moves in general, like putting out a street racing game on the App Store. Back in 2020, he claimed that he was gearing up for a comeback, which fellow rapper 50 Cent backed him up on. In addition to claiming that Fetty had run into a huge contract issue, resulting in him losing a lot of steam, even fans took notice of his lack of output, although he's put out a couple of EPs in the past few years. In an absolutely tragic turn of events, Fetty Wap's daughter, Lauren, passed away at the age of 4. It's definitely affecting Fetty in a big way, and it probably will for a long time. Number 3, Chance the Rapper. When Chance the Rapper started his rap career, he was just a goofy kid from Chicago with bars. As time went on, he'd grow as an artist and drop one of the biggest rap projects of the mid-2010s, even if it was just a mixtape. He went from having a huge underground tape called Acid Rap to having a feature from his childhood favorite Kanye West. The mixtape and its follow-up, Coloring Book, were huge, received great reviews, and had tons of airplay. After Acid Rap, he really got into social activism around Chicago, in addition to making jazzy, less commercial music with his friends. Originally, his first studio album was going to be a collaboration with Yeezy. That is, until Kanye switched his focus to Yandhi, which he eventually scrapped. The album finally came out, entitled The Big Day. Doesn't feature a single production credit from Chi-Town's hero. Instead, it came out to the most mixed response possible. The internet absolutely dragged Chance. Most fans thought that the album was going to be similar to his older stuff, and instead they got a sugary soul album about how much he loves his wife. Anthony Fantano of The Needle Drop, a popular YouTube reviewer, gave it an incredibly rare 0 out of 10, calling the beats flat and saying that Chance recorded some of the corniest bars of his career on this album. Whew, needless to say, a lot of fans turned on him, and it's unlikely that they'll be back anytime soon. Number 2, 6ix9ine. 6ix9ine released a few sleeper hits during the tail end of the 2010s, but the biggest one of them was Gummo. The song blew up in the underground, and whether you loved it or hated it, you likely heard it. A big reason for how divisive it is that 6ix9ine kind of just screams his bars over the beat. While he was known mostly for his music for a long time, that changed pretty quickly when he almost caught a case. The key word here is almost. Instead of doing any serious time upon finding out he was facing over 50 years in prison for guns and racketeering, he flipped on his entire crew. That's right, he turned over on like 11 different guys, just so that he could get out and continue his career. While he and Nicki Minaj had a pretty big hit with Trolls, the entire rest of the hip-hop industry realized that he was a liability. Even if he didn't get shunned by the whole game, he probably wouldn't have many friends anyway, considering he starts beefs with anyone and everyone. He runs around with a security detail at all times, and for good reason. While he might not be completely done making music, he doesn't really get anything other than no names to feature on his tracks these days. He's also been removed from most of Spotify's official playlists. Oh, and he's totally aware of how bad he screwed up. He has an album called Tattletales, and there's really no better name for it. Number 1, Lil Pump. Weirdly enough, the guy who really introduced Lil Pump to the game was an underground Florida legend in the rap game by the name of Smoke Perp. 2017's Gucci Gang was a big hit, likely due to how repetitive and easy to remember the lyrics were. Unfortunately, the very thing that made it blow up so hard would be its demise. The song wore itself out ridiculously fast, even though it went 5 times platinum. When talking about the structure of the song, the producer Big Head said, "Simple music is good music, because if a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old can sing it, that's what I aim for. Like Gucci Gang, a little kid can sing that." That approach might not have been the best idea. Moving forward, Lil Pump kept swinging and missing. He'd pretty much become the punchline to every mean joke about mumble rap ever, and of course, old heads absolutely hated him. He was also the direct inspiration for all of the SNL sketches about cloud rap, one of which featured Timothy Chalamet and Pete Davidson. To add more fuel to the fire, he came out as an avid supporter of Donald Trump, even going so far as to come out and speak at an event during Trump's campaign. He also got banned from the airline JetBlue as a result of refusing to wear a mask while on one of their planes. He said he was quitting music in 2020, only to come back a few days later to say, "Not really." At the very least, even though Lil Pump is pretty much done, we have him to thank for the hordes of teenagers shouting, "It's skeet!" at the top of their lungs. What a confusing human being. What do y'all think though? Are any of these rappers out of the game for good, aside from the ones who are, likely in prison for life? Is Chance gonna come out and release a big comeback album that'll get his fans back? Is Fetty Wap ever gonna drop more music that hits the charts? Let us know what you think about these questions and more down below in the comments. And don't be afraid to like and subscribe to get more rap news sent straight into your subscription feed. As always, have a great rest of your day. And don't forget to keep it RIZZLE.